As a therapist and someone who's experienced depression multiple times in my life, here are the 5 simplest, fastest, easiest things to help you feel better no matter how severe your depression. Hi, I'm psychologist Dr. Ali Mattu, helping you find compassion, gain courage, and get connected to the things that matter. There are lots of reasons why people get depressed, but depression always does the same thing. It makes you lose interest in life. This makes you less motivated. Then it gets harder to do anything. Now, even if you go through the motions of doing something you used to enjoy, you don't get much pleasure out of it. I call this the black hole of depression because it reminds me of that black hole in Interstellar. This gargantuan thing that feels inescapable. It messes with gravity and time, and it distorts just everything in your life. I went through this in the first half of the year when my second child was born. I was looking forward to this, and then when he came, everything became so much harder. My routines were completely obliterated. I felt so alone, so exhausted. Sleep was so bad. And I became really irritable. For example, there was this one time when my friends were going to see Top Gun Maverick and I couldn't go because I had this new baby. And then I was so mad about that. And a few hours later, I just started crying about it because I felt like I was missing out. And then I felt really guilty and ashamed and mad at myself for being so upset about Top Gun because, like, here I am with this new kid. Like, I should be happy. What's wrong with me? If depressions are like a black hole, then habits are like a rocket. These powerful things that when you turn them on at first, it looks like nothing's happening. Like, look closely at this rocket. It's turned on and the ship is not moving yet. But if you stick with it, habits can help you break that powerful force of depression. Sure, rockets move in seconds and habits can take days to work, but the principle is the same. I used to believe motivation leads to action, and the more I've worked with depression, the more I've found the opposite is true. When we find ways to take one small step forward towards some type of action, that feels good. And the more you do that, the more you want to keep doing that again. Action leads to motivation. That's the whole idea behind this book, Overcoming Depression One Step at a Time, which is based on behavioral activation, my favorite way to treat depression. So here are 5 powerful, simple, 1-minute habits that will help you achieve some escape velocity from depression. They might not cure your depression, but they'll definitely help you to feel a little bit better. Some things to keep in mind. Focus on the things that you might be able to do often. If you can do them often, they're more likely to become a habit. And if they become a habit, they're going to have a bigger impact on your depression. It's also best to do these habits before you do something that might make your depression worse. So if your depression makes you want to take a nap and sleep away half the day, do these things before you climb in bed. If your depression makes you want to sit on the couch and ruminate about how horrible life is, do this before you sit down on the couch. If your depression makes you want to just binge watch all of YouTube, do it before you fire up the YouTube app. Unless, of course, you're binging my stuff. No, just kidding. Don't watch my stuff if it's making you feel worse. The last thing to remember is to fully throw yourself into these actions for that 1-minute period of time. Think about nothing but this thing that you're doing. Don't worry about your thoughts at this time. If they're saying, this isn't working, this is dumb, I don't want to do this, just notice those thoughts. Don't fight with them. Don't argue with them. Just kind of notice them and come back to this thing that you're trying to do. Just remind yourself that these thoughts are part of that big distortion the black hole of depression creates. Number 1, clean. Clean yourself, take a shower, brush your teeth, change your clothes, do some laundry, tidy up your desk, pull out weeds from the garden, whatever it is that takes a minute and helps you to feel a little bit more put together. Because that black hole of depression robs us of motivation, it becomes easy to stop caring about the basics. But so often doing something for yourself or your space can make a complete difference in the course of your day, helping you to feel a little bit more accomplished and a little bit more put together. When I was going through that period of postpartum after my son was born, I ended up going days without showering, and I felt so disgusting. But also, the longer I went without showering, the harder it became to shower and the easier it was to avoid it. So I ultimately got to a point where I would just do really, really fast showers. One, out of necessity, but two, it just felt like an easier goal. Get in, get out, and it actually ended up making me feel a little bit better. Number 2, go outside. The worst days I've witnessed for myself as well as my patients are those where nothing really happens. We've been in the same small, confined space all day long. And if you stay inside, it's easier to stay in your pajamas and not clean yourself up. So for just 1 minute, go outside, walk around the block, take out some trash, check your mail. I know for some of you, it'll be very difficult to go outside for a wide variety of reasons. And if that's the case, you can also think about just changing your position in your home. If you're in a dark and closed space, go to a place by a window. If you've been sitting for a long time, try standing. If you've been standing and pacing, try sitting and doing stretches. If you haven't been active at all, do a minute of jumping jacks. Number 3, interact with one living thing. Whether it's an animal or a human, find a way to interact with some type of life for 1 minute. Maybe it's talking to the person at the corner store, or going to a dog park, texting a friend, chatting with people on your favorite Discord server, or seeing the reptiles at the pet shop. Interacting with other life can help you to feel more connected to that larger world that exists outside your head. When I'm depressed, what's important for me is to interact with people outside of my family. And I love my wife, I love my kids. At the same time, when I'm interacting with people outside my family, it helps me to get a break from the stress and obligations of being a dad. Number 4, check off one thing. Find something you've been meaning to do that you can accomplish in 1 minute. Maybe it's opening your mail, paying a bill, returning a message, finding a recipe for dinner, or folding laundry. If everything seems overwhelming, maybe you can find a way to break it down into just one very small little step forward. And if that feels overwhelming, you can also just spend 1 minute making a checklist of things you have to do. When I was depressed this year, everything just piled up. The sink was full of dishes, there was dirty laundry everywhere, the fridge needed to be cleared out, and looking around, it was just too much. It was just overwhelming. The 1 minute thing I knew I needed to do but kept avoiding was asking for help. There were a few friends and family members I knew I could count on who would help bring order to all this chaos. And when I finally found a way to ask them for help, they came, cleaned everything up, and then it became so much easier to maintain that level of order. Number 5, treat yourself. The technical term for this is self-soothing, but I like treat yourself better. Depression can make you so irritable, like when I was rage crying about Top Gun. It's a fun movie, but it's really just Star Wars meets Mission Impossible. Anyways, you can take a warm bath, get a coffee, sing a song you love, look at beautiful pictures, light a candle, buy one beautiful flower, watch a video from your favorite YouTuber, make some tea, eat a peppermint candy, cuddle with a stuffy, draw. Drawing has become one of my favorite habits for self-soothing because it's something I can do with my daughter. We fire up Art for Kids Hub, the YouTube channel, and do one of those drawings together. And it's quick, easy, it's fun, and it makes me feel like a good dad. It can be tricky to figure out what is self-soothing versus what is a black hole depression, avoidance, makes everything worse thing. So if you're unsure, try it out and track how it makes you feel afterwards. If it makes you feel worse, it's a depression black hole thing. If it makes you feel better, it's probably a self-soothing thing. Now what I want you to do is pick something from this list and try it out. Experiment about 3 different times to see if this thing can help you. Now, what I haven't talked about yet are habits to help you with bipolar disorder. So if you want to learn more about that, check out this video right over here.